There's a voice that lingers in the back of our minds, whispering, "You don't have to do this now," or "Someone else is to blame." It's the voice of excuses, a voice that keeps us from becoming the person we're meant to be. But what if we could silence that voice? What if, instead of being weighed down by excuses, we chose to take full ownership of our lives? Today, we're exploring how the timeless wisdom of Stoicism can help us remove excuses and step into a life of unwavering accountability. A life where our actions speak louder than any justification we could offer. By the end of this video, you'll learn how to recognize and eliminate the excuses holding you back, and how to embrace the mindset of radical ownership. It's time to face your fears, stop shifting the blame, and reclaim your power. Let's get started. What would your life look like if you removed every excuse and took full control of your choices? Excuses come naturally to us. They're the mind's way of protecting itself, of avoiding discomfort and maintaining a sense of control. It's easy to say, "I don't have time," or "I'm too tired." But these excuses only hold us back. They are born out of fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of the unknown. The Stoics understood this tendency. In his letters to Lucilius, Seneca wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." He knew that most of our excuses stem from imagined dangers rather than real obstacles. But excuses don't just protect us from discomfort, they keep us from growth. When we say, "It's too hard," or "I'm not good enough," we are closing the door to new opportunities. Our modern world, filled with distractions and comforts, makes it easier than ever to hide behind excuses. We live in an age where any discomfort can be immediately soothed by the swipe of a screen. And yet this comfort often leads to a life of regret and unfulfilled potential. What excuses do you find yourself making? What lies behind them? Fear, laziness, or a lack of clarity about your goals? For the Stoics, responsibility wasn't just a choice, it was a duty. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, reminded himself constantly to focus only on what is within his power. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Epictetus, a former slave turned philosopher, taught that there are two things we control: our thoughts and our actions. Everything else, other people's opinions, the outcomes of our efforts, even the weather, is beyond our control. Imagine the weight of leading an empire during plagues and wars like Marcus Aurelius did. He could have given in to despair, blamed circumstances, or sought sympathy. Instead, he wrote daily reminders to himself about the importance of self-discipline and internal strength. These teachings are not just historical relics. They are blueprints for how we can live today. If you face a difficult boss, a failing relationship, or the uncertainty of life itself, Stoicism teaches that you always have a choice in how you respond. By applying this philosophy, we can change our mindset from being victims of our circumstances to masters of our responses. What could change in your life if you fully embraced responsibility like the Stoics? So how do we train ourselves to take ownership? The Stoics practiced simple but profound exercises to keep their minds sharp and their wills strong. One of their most powerful tools is premeditatio malorum, or the premeditation of evils. Take a moment each morning to imagine the challenges you might face that day: distractions, setbacks, criticism. Prepare yourself for how you will respond with calm and resilience. This way, when obstacles arise, they won't catch you by surprise. Another powerful exercise is journaling. At the end of each day, write down the excuses you made and ask yourself, was this excuse justified? By doing this, you'll begin to see patterns in your thinking, and you'll gain the power to break them. Practice amor fati, or love of fate, embracing whatever happens to you as an opportunity for growth. If it rains on your plans, learn to dance in the rain. If you face failure, see it as a chance to start again, wiser than before. Which practice do you think would make the biggest difference in your life? To see the power of Stoic principles in action, look no further than Viktor Frankl, who survived unimaginable suffering in concentration camps during World War II. In his book, Man's Search for Meaning, Frankl wrote, "When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves." It was this mindset that allowed him to find meaning in suffering. He knew that while the Nazis could take away his freedom, they could not take away his ability to choose his response. Or take the story of Admiral James Stockdale, who endured years of captivity in Vietnam. Stockdale drew on Stoic principles to survive torture, saying, "I never lost faith in the end of the story." His mindset kept him resilient in the darkest of times. These stories remind us that no matter how dire the situation, we always have the power to choose our response. How would these stories look different if these people had given in to excuses? Let's tackle some of the most common excuses and see how Stoic thinking can shatter them. I'm not good enough. The Stoic answer is simple. Focus on progress, not perfection. Epictetus taught that self-improvement is a journey, not a destination. It's too hard. Marcus Aurelius would remind you, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Hardships are the training ground for your resilience. What excuses have held you back? Are they as powerful as you thought? Imagine the life you could lead if you embraced radical ownership, if you truly believed that everything within your control was your responsibility. It's not just about achieving more. It's about finding peace in knowing that you're giving your best, no matter what life throws at you. Taking ownership doesn't just change your results, it changes you. It builds a mind that doesn't look for blame, but for solutions. What would change in your life if you decided that you were responsible for everything within your control? Excuses. They're the chains that keep us from our true potential. But once you realize that everything within your control is your responsibility, those chains start to break. We've learned from the Stoics, from history's greatest survivors, and from the stories of those who faced the harshest conditions and found strength. The journey of self-mastery is one of progress, not perfection. And while the road is long, it's one you don't have to walk alone. Remember, your actions define you more than any excuse ever could. If you're ready to embrace radical ownership and transform your mindset, don't just think about change, commit to it. Hit that subscribe button, join our community, and let's hold each other accountable in the pursuit of a life free from excuses.